So we've gotten to the point where we are going to apply the dry principle, which means don't repeat yourself. If I want to log every item in this array, I'll have to say names, then 0, names, 1, names 4, and I'm already tired. I'm just going to log that. Sorry about that. I'm just going to log that in, and you see I wasn't even able to get to the last one. And this is really a short list. Let's say we had 100 names. We'll have to do that for each and every one of them, and uh, that's not really great. So we're going to look at loops. So a loop is a way of writing your code once but telling it to run for a particular number of times. So take for example, to create a loop, we have two types of loop. We have three types of loop. We have a for loop, we have a while loop, and we have a do while loop. But we are only going to focus on for loops in this course. We also have other types of for loops. We have maps, we have for each loop, we have filters, but just know that we are only going to focus on for loop for now. I don't think we're going to use while loop. In my years of programming, I haven't actually professional programming. I haven't used while loop, so let's just focus on what we're actually going to be using, a for loop. So the for loop syntax goes like this. So we have the for, then we have an assignment variable. So we say, for example, we have var, and we have our index, and we're going to start at index 0. Then it has the condition. So I'm just going to comment this out like this. So we have the assignment or index, then we have the condition, and as long as the condition is set to true, we have the increment function. So let's try that. So we have our assignment, so index, and we assign it to 0 because index mostly starts from 0, not mostly, they start from 0. And we want to say, okay, as long as index is less than the length of the array, and the length of our array, let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6. So the length of our array is 6, but the index in the array is 5. So as long as 5 is less than 6, we can go on with our loop. So we say as long as names dot length, which will give us 6, so 5 is always going to be less than 6. And let's add our incremental function. So we want to say index is equal to index plus 1. So we just want to add 1 to our index, so we don't end up in a infinite loop. So if you never increase, it's always going to be an infinite loop. Alright, so but I'm just going to shorten this to index plus plus. So it's another form of saying index is equal to index plus 1, or we could say index plus 1. But the convention is just to say plus plus, and now we just add 1 to it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to log out. First of all, get the element. So I'll just store that in a constant. I'm never going to change that. So let's just say item is going to be our names, and dynamically we're going to get the index, because this index will start from 0. So the first iteration, this will be Fred. Second iteration is going to be James, and so on and so forth, up to the 5th iteration is going to be Jeff, and the 6th iteration, the condition will no longer be true. Then this for loop will end. So I'm just going to log to the console item, and you'll see how easy we're able to traverse the loop. And we see we get Fred, James, Caleb, Ruth, Mary, and Jeff, all by writing just one line of code. Really, just one line of code. Forget about the for loop. We only wrote one line of code to print this. So the for loop works for us. Now let's get to break and continue. So now let's say I want to check if we've traversed up to the 3rd index, I want to stop traversing. I don't know why I said 3rd index. It sounded a bit sexist. Let's see. If index is greater than 2, I want to stop because we're getting somewhere. I don't know why I use that example where I sound really sexist, because the next one is actually Ruth. So if it's greater than 2, if the index is greater than 2, so the moment we go 0 1 2, if it's greater than 2, break. So break is another way of saying, oh, stop the loop, stop the count, if we're looking at Pele. rest his soul. Alright, so let's run this again, and you can see we got Fred, Caleb, James, Caleb, Ruth. So it checked if the index is greater than 2, stop the count, right? So it went, the index was 3. Actually, you see we actually printing, so let's just okay, that's fine, so we got to, before we got to this condition, it had already printed this out, but we could actually add a mechanism to make sure it doesn't get there. And let's run it again. I don't want to print Ruth. So you see we got Fred, James, Caleb. I'm sorry, I'm not sexist, please. So I just wanted to show you break. So if the index is now greater than 0, stop the count, stop incrementing the loop, just exit the loop. We're done with the Ferris wheel. That's it. So now we could also say, oh, I don't want to print out Caleb. So take for example, we want to check if the item, if it's equal to Caleb. We actually want to check the name, and this time we want to say continue. So continue, what continue means is skip this iteration. Skip this iteration. So it's actually going to print everyone out, but it's going to skip Caleb. So let's run that and see. And you can see we get Fred, James, Ruth, Mary, and Jeff. So you could actually do some dynamic stuff. Oh, we've gotten to, so take for example, you're looking for a particular item in your list, and once you found that item, there's no point iterating through. You could just break, or you could continue. So I just wanted to make sure that we got that out of the way, and this is everything I have for you about loop. So in the next lecture, we are going to look at functions, and after functions, oh, what did I say? I think no. Let's build on our to-do list application in the next lecture, and after that we'll look at functions. See you in the next one.